The whispers in Zavis's mind continued their constant murmur, a reminder of the greater mystery that had brought such an unlikely gathering together aboard their vessel. Even now, standing in familiar corridors pieced together from countless salvage operations, the weight of their coming mission pressed upon them. The guardsmen filed into the common area with military precision as their commissar followed Captain Zavis and Chapter Master Volix deeper into the vessel. As they traversed the battle barge's maze-like interior, upstairs and through lengthy corridors, Commissar Valdaus couldn't help but stare at the vessel's peculiar construction. Each new section they passed through seemed to come from a different source, Imperial Navy architecture bleeding into what appeared to be merchant vessel designs, all somehow functioning as one coherent whole. "Remarkable," he muttered, ducking slightly under a lower archway. "I've never seen a vessel quite like this. The modifications alone must have taken decades." Volix's massive emerald-armored form led the way, his heavy footfalls echoing off deck plates of varying origins, the bull-headed helm at his waist swaying slightly with each step. The golden implants in his forehead caught the uneven lighting as they moved through sections of varying illumination. The commissar's eyes darted from detail to detail, noting the practical yet unorthodox solutions the chapter had implemented to keep their ancient vessel operational. His military training had taught him to expect uniformity and regulation in all things. But here was something entirely different, yet undeniably effective. Captain Zavis walked beside him, watching through his helm's auto-senses as their guest took in the unique nature of their home. The whispers in his mind seemed to grow more insistent as they approached the war room, as if sensing the importance of the coming briefing. As they entered the war room, Captain Zavis nodded at the commissar's observations. "Centuries, actually. Each piece has a history, each modification a story. The machine spirits have grown strong together, much like our chapter itself." Inside, the room's glow globes cast emerald light across the tactical display, where a tech marine stood waiting, his red robes contrasting with his dark power armor. A servo skull hovered near his shoulder, its augmetic eye casting a pale beam across hololithic projections of their planned route. The display showed their trajectory through multiple systems, eventually leading into the increasingly uncertain cartography of the Nephilim sector. Chapter Master Volix's massive form moved to the head of the tactical table, his bull-headed helm still at his waist, the 3 golden implants in his forehead reflecting the hololithic light. His right power fist, with its integrated flamer, rested on the table's edge as he studied the projected course. "Brother Tech Marine," Volix's volcanic voice resonated through the chamber. "Show the commissar what we face." The tech marine nodded, his mechadendrites weaving through the air as he manipulated the display's controls. The servo skull bobbed in response, adjusting its projection to highlight specific regions of space where the maps seemed to blur and shift, defying standard Imperial cartography. The whispers in Zavis's mind grew stronger as they stared at the route that would take them into the unknown, as if acknowledging that their mystery would soon begin to unravel. Chapter Master Volix turned to face the commissar, his ebony features and triple golden implants catching the hololithic light as he set his impressive, bull-headed helm on the tactical display. His massive emerald-armored form seemed to fill that side of the room as he addressed their Imperial Guard ally. "That's what you're here for, Commissar. You have more knowledge of trader ships, routes, and history." His volcanic voice carried the weight of command, even as he acknowledged their need for the commissar's expertise. The commissar stepped closer to the display, his long coat brushing against the table's edge as he studied the projected routes. His eyes narrowed as he traced the paths of the missing vessels, decades of experience with merchant naval operations evident in his focused gaze. Around them, the servo skull continued its quiet binary cant, while the tech marine's mechadendrites swayed gently, waiting to adjust the display at the commissar's request. Captain Zavas stood silently, his helm's auto-senses recording everything as the whispers in his mind seemed to pulse in sync with the hololithic projections of their mysterious destination. Volix watched patiently, his towering presence a reminder of both the chapter's might and their willingness to seek outside expertise when needed. The green-tinged light from the tactical display cast strange shadows across his dark features as they waited for their specialist's assessment of the situation that had drawn together such an unlikely alliance of Imperial forces. Chapter 12. We will arrive in less than a week. You will have time to make your decision, the Tech Marine intoned, his partially augmetic voice echoing in the war room. His mechadendrites continued to weave through the hololithic display, adjusting the temporal markers of their planned route. Chapter Master Volix nodded, his golden implants catching the light as he straightened to his full, imposing height. His ebony features remained thoughtful as he studied both the display and the Commissar's reactions to it. Captain Zavas's helm turned slightly toward the Commissar, his augmetic eye whirring as it assessed their newest ally's response to everything they'd shared. The whispers in his mind seemed to quiet momentarily, as if giving space for this crucial strategic discussion. The servo skull drifted above them, its red eye casting data streams across the tactical table as they considered the implications of their mission. Around them, the battle barge's systems hummed with activity as the massive vessel prepared for their impending departure from port. The weight of the coming decision hung in the air, a mission into uncharted space, chasing mysteries that had already claimed several vessels and their crews. The Commissar's expertise could prove vital if he chose to commit fully to their cause. "Refueled and ready for departure, Captain." The Vox communication crackled through Captain Zavas's helm as they exited the war room. Inside, Commissar Valdaus remained hunched over the tactical display, his peaked cap and long coat illuminated by the hololithic glow as he meticulously studied the trade routes and disappearance patterns. His dedication to understanding their mission was evident in his focused posture. Chapter Master Volix's massive emerald-armored form moved beside Zavas, his bull-headed helm still at his waist, the 3 golden implants in his forehead catching the corridor's light. Behind them, they could hear the Tech Marine's mechadendrites clicking against the tactical display as he continued to assist the Commissar with his detailed analysis of the data. Zavas's augmetic eye whirred as he processed the readiness report. The whispers in his mind seemed to stir at the news, as if eager to return to the void where they grew stronger. Throughout the massive battle barge, crews would be securing for departure, the brief respite of their port call coming to an end. "Bridge, acknowledge," Zavas replied through his helm's vox. "Begin departure preparations. Alert the fleet. We break orbit in 3 hours." He turned to Volix, awaiting the chapter master's final approval for their departure into the mysteries that awaited them. Captain Zavas entered his personal chambers, the whispers already growing stronger as he began the ritual of removing his helm. His augmetic eye whirred in the dimmed light as servitors helped him disengage his armor piece by piece. Each component was carefully placed on its consecrated stand, ready for the next deployment. But as he lay down on his Spartan bunk, sleep proved elusive. The visions came again, more vivid than before. The orange sky pulsed above him like a living thing, its color deepening to amber, then bronze, then back again. Blood droplets hung in the air, defying gravity as they formed familiar patterns, star charts and ship routes he now recognized from their tactical briefings. The whispers grew louder, their high Gothic carrying hints of something older, something that predated even the Great Crusade.